But one thing I've noticed about talking to a lot of restaurants, we've worked with over 300 restaurants so far. Obviously, I've had a lot of conversations with restaurant owners outside of that. Someone comes to me and says, I have a problem with hospitality. My team doesn't get it. Or we have a problem with upselling. Or we have a problem with our managers, right? And it's always a symptom. Those are symptoms of a bigger problem. And it's always kind of going back to leadership. There's leaks somewhere in the leadership team. And a lot of times, the leadership just doesn't have the tools or the training to actually do the things that they need to do properly. Top 4 reasons people quit their jobs. Lack of leadership or poor leadership. That's number 1. And everyone could be a testament to that. Everyone could be a case study to that, right? As I'm sure everyone has had one boss, manager, someone that made you want to quit your job. Poor training. Now, has anybody ever worked at a job and they trained you really poorly and it made your job exponentially harder and much less enjoyable? Right? Because that's what training does. Training gives you the tools to succeed. Whether you're a dishwasher or a line cook or an executive chef, training gives you the tools to succeed at a high level. That's what training is all about. And it gives you structure. And anybody in this room, most human beings want structure. I want structure in my day-to-day, right? I want that structure, especially at work. Just give me a target, tell me when to hit it, and I'll hit it. But when you don't give me the target or the tools or the axe to throw at it, whatever, I'm going to fail. Number 3, lack of growth. So I'm at my job, but I don't feel like I'm growing. I'm going in and doing the same mundane tasks over and over and over again, and I don't feel like I'm growing. Like, it's our job as leaders to make sure that we're letting our team grow or feel like they're growing. It doesn't mean a promotion. It just means that we're giving them tools, we're teaching them new things to make them feel like they're growing, and I'll go over that in detail a bit more. Number 4 is pay, right? And that's, a lot of times people don't leave because of pay, and I've seen so many people leave jobs for a better paying job and end up hating their lives. Earn your leadership every day. I love this quote because I think it's a freaking honor to be a leader, to be a manager. It's an honor because you're leading people. No matter what capacity you're at, you're actually leading people. There's people behind you, people underneath you that you're leading, and you're having an impact on their lives, both inside and outside of work. You have an impact on the business that trusted you in your position to go, to bring that business up or bring that business down. So core truths, 90% of leaders focus on the wrong things. So as we get into this a little bit more, I want this to be about aligning and mindset shift. So having a mindset shift for you guys, but also alignment, because what happens when you start working at a job, no matter what, especially challenging jobs like the ones you guys have, is that you start focusing on the wrong things. Because you have so much going on, there's so many challenges day to day that you start focusing on the wrong things. Now, what is a successful business model? What's a simplified, successful business model? Right? I want to come up with a business and I want it to be successful. I need to find something that the market is in demand for, right? The market is demanding it. It's in demand and not everyone's filling it. Then I need to create a product to fill that demand. So right now, do you think that good food is in demand? Yes. Okay. Do you think it's easy to find good food? But there's a lot of good food out there. Most restaurants, a restaurant will go out of business if they have bad food. So good food is out there, but good hospitality, that's what's going to separate you. Because now, use yourself as case studies. How many times do you go out to eat and get good hospitality? Where you literally feel like the person that's serving you cares. They literally care and value the fact that you're there. Not order takers, not someone just doing a job because they're required to do it, but someone that actually feels like they value your money and your time. Very rare. And as the years go on, we could start at, let's say, 2020, that's become less and less and less and less. So the demand out there for people is hospitality. That's the demand. We want hospitality. We know where to get good food. We can go get good food anywhere, but we want to find a place that serves good food and good hospitality. We want a paradigm shift. We want to think differently, especially as leaders. I want you guys to think differently. And I want to talk about a paradigm shift, which is finite versus infinite mindset. Does anybody know what finite means? Limited. Yes, limited, right? We only have a finite amount of energy every day. If I go outside and sprint, I can probably last for 15 seconds before I run out of energy. Infinite. Does anybody know what infinite means? Endless, right? So that's a mindset that we want to work with. When I talk about finite and infinite mindset, couple of, it's short-term and long-term. When you're working as a leader and you're making decisions, even if it's a simple decision or decisions such as interacting with your staff, right? Talking to your staff. Maybe I'm going to coach my staff. Maybe I'm not going to coach my staff, whatever. Those little decisions you make, is it an infinite mindset decision or a finite mindset decision? Is it short term or is it long term? Am I thinking about the long term? Am I thinking about the short term? And some companies we can use as an example here is Apple and Microsoft. Does anybody know what the Zune is? Microsoft came out with Zune, which was the iPod killer. Apple came out with the iPod, changed the world. Microsoft saw it, they couldn't compete with it. So they're just constantly trying to figure out a way to come out with an iPod killer. And they went to work and work and work and work and work, and they hired engineers, and they put all this money into it. And finally, they came out with the Zune. And they did it. They created the iPod killer. It was smaller, better quality, more memory, better screen, and less expensive. They did it. Congratulations, Microsoft. But guess what came out 6 months later? The iPhone. The iPhone came out 6 months later. So the point of that story is that Microsoft was battling it out with Apple, putting all these resources into it, and then finally got towards the victory line. But who is Apple competing with? Themselves. Apple's competing with themselves. They're not even thinking about the competition because it's not competition to them. They're just trying to think about how can we change the world? What's the next thing we can do to change the world? What's the next invention we could come out with? Right? And that's what we want to think about when we're making decisions as leaders. It's like, how do we improve? How do we get better? Not just for today, but for a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. How do we build our team underneath us? So, knowledge is not power. Write this down, please. We want to think finite versus infinite mindset, guys. And one thing I want to talk about today as we walk away, if you find tools that I've given you today that you think are going to be successful and work in your business, work at your club, knowledge is not power. Knowledge with action is power. It doesn't matter if you know the information if you don't take action. So the first thing I want to talk about here in this next slide is 80-20. 80% of all problems are psychological, 20% are execution. It's not about resources, it's about being resourceful. So what that means is a lot of times you guys come into problems, or anybody comes into problems, and they're like, if I have one more person, if I have a budget, if I have that machine, if I have this permission by my boss, all these things to be able to solve the problem, but I can't do it until I have that hurdle overcome. That's 80% psychological. It's not actually an execution problem. It's being resourceful. It's saying, like, breaking down a problem, saying, is that really a problem that I can't do without this resource, or can I be clever and figure out a way to fix this? So I want to show you what our map looks like. This is what it looks like to create a training system. 4 cornerstones of advanced leadership, the very, very tippy top. Without that, none of this exists. None of this matters. Underneath that, you have your roadmaps and your training guides and your trainers and all that stuff, your high-level systems. But at the very top, you have to have the 4 cornerstones of advanced leadership. If you don't have the right leadership in place, if the leadership isn't able to execute at a high level, all of this is for nothing. Now, first of all, tell me if this sounds familiar. I don't have enough time in the day. I'm too busy. I'm short-staffed. I'm wearing too many hats. Anybody feel that way in this room? Have you ever become across a problem or something? You're like, I got to fix something, or I know something needs to be done, but I don't have enough time in the day. I'm too busy, short-staffed, or wearing too many hats. And that's why we go back to this 80-20, right? Where can we get around those roadblocks in our head to say that those things aren't going to stop us from being able to execute at a high level? And so I'd like to talk about this. Has anybody seen the movie The Matrix? Has anybody seen Matrix Reloaded? Which one's better? The Matrix, by far. It's not even close. Like, they're not even the same movie. Here's the crazy part. The Matrix had a $90 million budget. Matrix Reloaded had a $180 million budget. Yet The Matrix had way better CGI. Why? Because when they had a $90 million budget, they had to get resourceful and creative. And so when they were adding these special effects, they were being really creative with the way they were doing things. And that's what really gives that movie the charm it has, right? It has this charm. The Matrix Reloaded, they gave them all the resources they wanted, but that wasn't the solution to make a better movie. So again, 80-20. Are your problems psychological or the execution? And so I want to talk about some big problems that you have. Have restaurants that come and say, we want to fix hospitality, right? And we want to fix our culture. We want to fix all these things, but those are big problems to solve. To say that I'm going to fix something that big, right? Like, I'm going to teach your whole team how to give hospitality, right? Like, if you guys wanted to say, for example, I want every chef underneath me to be able to cook anything I wanted and have perfect cutting skills, have a really good work ethic, come in on time, have really good attitudes, and always give 110%. And I could say, yeah, we can do that. You'd be like, that sounds nice, Preston, but that doesn't seem like it's realistic. Seems like a dream. We want to take those big problems and break them down to what we call simply stupid. So I want to think about this. I actually stole this from Tony Robbins. Let's say we're playing a game of golf, right? And I'm about to play golf with you, and you're not good at golf. And I say, hey, let's play 18 holes. You're like, okay, cool, let's do it. And then I say, why don't we make it interesting? Why don't we bet some money? And you're like, well, I don't want to bet money. I'm not good at playing golf. Well, how about this? 10 cents a hole. Okay, whatever, 10 cents a hole, that's fine. Okay, and let's just make it a little bit more interesting. Let's put a little twist on it just to make it fun. We'll just double it every hole. 10 cents, 20 cents, 40, 80. I mean, what is that, 18 bucks, 50 bucks? Sure, that's fine. But when you start adding it up, it actually adds up pretty fast. Anybody want to guess what it gets to? It ends up being $26,214. Now, if I told that person, hey, do you want to play a game of golf for $26,214? They'd say no. But if I said, hey, do you want to play 10 cents a hole and double it? All of a sudden, that makes a lot more sense, right? That seems a lot more approachable. That seems a lot more realistic. Even though we're getting to the same result, it seems more realistic. So that's what I want to do. I want to take these big problems that you have, big things you're trying to solve for, that you think, this is just never going to happen. This is just never going to happen, or it's going to take so much work, or so much manpower, or so much X, Y, and Z, and just show you how to break it down into little tiny pieces until it ends up solving the big problem. So I want to talk about why we get misaligned. And this is real. This is a lot of problems I see with leadership teams. Why do you get misaligned? Why do you get focused, right? Why does your eye get taken off the prize? But first of all, it's a day-to-day grind, right? And I'm not saying you guys are grinding or you hate your jobs or anything like that, but you guys are working hard, correct? Yeah, we're all working hard, working very, very hard. And sometimes that starts misaligning you, right? You're worried about numbers, or you're worried about the food, or you're worried about the members, or you're worried about your boss, or you're worried about the membership numbers being down, or you're worried about the numbers not being high enough. Whatever it is, you start worrying about all these things, and you just slowly take your eye off the prize, right? So it pulls us off course, and all of a sudden we're focusing on the wrong things. And that's a big problem. And even small misalignments lead to the wrong choices. And what we're here to do, ultimately, what keeps us in business is making the club members happy. That's the bottom line. That's why you're here. That's why food and beverage exists in this, is because they want to provide a service to their club members, and obviously, they want to provide the best service to their club members, correct? Does anybody here have owners or managers above them that say, we're here to deliver subpar service to our members? No, we all want to be the best. That's why we're here. That's why they picked you. They did not pick you as a leader thinking, hey, I don't think you can do the job, but it's okay because I don't really care about the members' experience that much. They picked you because they think you can do the job. I'm trusting you to give that experience to the member. One thing that's really important is reflecting, right? Why? Rediscovering your why. Why am I doing this? What is my motivation? Why did I even start doing this? Think about the interview process you had when you interviewed for the job that you have now. Why did I want this job? Why did I get dressed up that day, go down there and interview to get this job, pitch myself to someone to get this job? Why did I do that? And why do I want to keep going? What is my motivation? Is it to put out fires day in, day out, or is it to actually grow the business, grow the people underneath me, and make this place the best? That's what I would ask yourself every day. I would write this down in my notebook and ask myself this every day before you walk in. You'll notice a huge change in your mindset, a huge change in the way you carry yourself, a huge change in the way you react to people. So here's something you can write down: daily realignment with your staff. We're talking about you, but now let's talk about your staff. How about realigning with your staff, which is very important? Check every day your staff's temperament. When I would walk in, I would check their temperament. First of all, walk in, ask them how they're doing. How's it going? How are you? Just okay? What's going on? So having conversations, though, real conversations with your staff, ask them how they're doing, but really ask them how they're doing. And then talk to them. What is your goal today? Like, ask them that question. Give them one goal. If it's shucking oysters faster, if it's, getting the food on the line perfectly, if it's plating, whatever it is, what are they lacking on? And be like, I want this to be your goal today. Every single day. Give them a small goal. But that creates growth in their mind. Because when they accomplish that goal, they feel like they've grown. Now we're solving for that problem 3, growth. Leadership doesn't just change how people work, it changes how they see themselves when they go home. And again, you have the power to impact people's lives. The people underneath you, you have the power to impact them, whether you realize it or you're not, you don't see it or you do. You do. You impact their lives either positively or negatively. And when they go home, you either make them feel better about themselves or you make them feel worse. And it's not about rainbows and unicorns. I'm not telling you need to pat them on the back and give everyone a participation trophy. It has nothing to do with that. It's more about you taking the time to develop your people. And so I really want you to understand, like, you change lives and you change the world. And I get people that laugh at me sometimes when I say this. I go, you have the power to change the world. And they're like, let's say I'm working with a restaurant that's serving burger and beer. And they're saying, Preston, so what? We're serving burgers and beers here. We're changing the world. You really believe that? I absolutely believe that, because you have two impacts on the world. One, you have the impact of the people that are working with you. You have an impact on their lives. You can dramatically change their lives. Has anybody had a leader in here that ever changed their lives, a manager, changed the way they thought? You guys have that power. It's all about connecting with your staff, though, and talking to them. And your club members coming in, you have the power to change their lives, because they might leave in a really good mood because of you, or they might leave in a really bad mood because of you. First of all, does everyone here have high standards for themselves? Raise your hand. If you don't, it's okay. Don't be embarrassed, but just don't raise your hand, please. Yes, everyone in this room. And I could have told you that. Now, I would challenge you to go to your club and do the same thing with your staff. Have them raise their hands. Ask them that question. And you're going to look around the room, and you're going to be like, I don't know if that's true. Right? But they think they do. There's a person sitting there that comes in late, cuts corners on their phone, right? And they're like, yeah, I have high standards for myself. Because everyone is going to say they have high standards. Everyone feels like they have high standards for themselves. But the difference between someone who has high standards and the person who doesn't have high standards is the person who holds their high standards up through adversity. Like, for example, if you're a server at a club, and one of the club members gives them $1,000, right? Or if you're a line cook and you just get that big raise, your standards are going to be through the roof that day, right? You're going to be happy, you're going to be excited, you're going to be all about it. But it's the days when you get into a fight with a significant other, when you get the flat tire, when you come in and your boss is like on you, someone calls out, you walk in, that really, really difficult club member's there. That day, when you keep up your standards, holding your standards to adversity, that's the person who has high standards. When they still walk in the door and they have high standards, and they hold those standards up. Not negotiating with yourself that I can lower my standards. Well, they're not giving me the tools. They're not giving me the resources. This person called out. That club member is out of control. I can start lowering my standards. So that's the difference. So that's what I would teach my staff and talk to my staff about. I don't need you holding your standards up when things are good. I need to see you hold your standards up when things are bad, when things are difficult. That's what I want to see. So a lot of people kind of go through this training process, right? A couple of you raised your hands that you have robust training, but I'm sure everyone has training to some degree. But then you probably get to a point where you're working with someone and you're like, I trained you how to do that. Like, I don't understand. Didn't I teach you how to do that? Didn't we talk about this 3 times? Like, what is the problem? Why are the dots not connecting? I don't understand. Like, how do you not get it? We've trained you. What happens after training where people somehow forget, right? Where they just drop the ball. And it's because you're missing this. This is really how you're going to actually develop people and train the right way and get the most out of your people and get the most out of yourself, really. You have to have these 5 phases. Advanced leadership, which is you guys, everyone in this room. High-level systems. You can't have anything in place without a system, and I think you guys know that. Imagine if you had your kitchens with no recipe books, no recipes anywhere. Dynamic training. Your training needs to be a little bit robust. And I want you guys to stop thinking about training as a 7-day, 10-day, 14-day process and more of an ongoing process. 7-day, 14 days is to get them started. They're called floor ready, right? They can take a couple of reps on the field, but they're not playing the whole game. And then we have dynamic training that will train them consistently furthermore. Follow-up mastery, there's no point in having training if you don't have follow-up. You have to follow up to see if they're actually executing the training the right way or not. And then accountability. All of this is for nothing if you're not holding people accountable. If there's no consequences to their actions, then people are going to do whatever they want at the end of the day. All of everything becomes a request, right? It's not about being the best anymore. It's just asking nicely and hoping they do it.